before we talk about sampling techniques, let's talk a little about randomness. So let's do a little exercise here first. Quickly, randomly choose a number between 1 and 10. You got it? I asked 113 of my students to do this. And this is what happened right here. Notice that this is not random, okay? Or at least not as random as we would like, okay? 6 and 7 were a lot more likely to be picked than, say, 1 or 5 or 10, okay? Humans aren't very good at being random. If we're truly random, then what we would expect to happen is we would expect all the numbers to be about the same, to occur about the same amount of times. In this case, when we talk about randomness, that's what we're looking for. So the point here is humans aren't good at this. Do not trust yourself to be random. We need a tool to help us be random. Okay? There are lots of tools we can use. For example, a 6-sided die. Okay? If we only wanted 6 numbers, we could roll our 6-sided die and see what number comes up. That is effectively random for us. Okay? We could draw names out of a hat. Or in this case, numbers. Okay, if you had little slips of paper with numbers 1 through 10 on them and put them in a hat and mix them all up, take one out, that would be random. Okay? In this class, we're going to use a computer to help us be random. All right? So I've got the calculator we're using in this class, and we're going to look at how we could pick a random number between 1 and 10. All right? So first off, let's look at how we can generate that list of 10 numbers. This calculator actually makes it easy to make a long list of numbers. So if I just want the numbers 1 through 10, I could write 1 colon 10. If I click evaluate, then you could see I get a list of the numbers 1 through 10. Now I could do this with any 2 numbers, where this is my first number and this is my last number, okay? And it will generate the list. So let's do something a little longer. Let's say I want to start at 50, but then I want to end at 1,000. Okay, and I want every number in between. If I click evaluate, it gives me a great big long list of numbers, but it starts at 50, and it counts every number until we get to 1,000. Okay, so using this technique, we can easily create a list of numbers. So what we want the calculator to do is take a list of numbers that we give it and randomly select some numbers out of it. We can do that using the sample function. Okay? So we type sample, then we tell it what list of numbers we want it to sample. So for this particular example, we might want the numbers 1 through 10. Okay? And then we want to tell it how many numbers to sample. In this case, let's just say 1. So sample function says randomly sample some numbers out of this. 1 through 10 says which numbers are we looking at. Okay, in this case, the list from 1 to 10. And size tells me how many numbers I want to pull out of the list. In this case, let's just look at 1. If I click evaluate, it will randomly select a number for me. 3. Okay? If I click evaluate again, it'll randomly select a different number, 8. And I can keep on doing that as often as I want. 4. 7. You will see if you do this lots of times, it will look a lot more like this picture, if you were to graph it, than this picture. The computer is much better at choosing numbers randomly than we are. Okay? So we need to use a tool like this to be random. In the coming sampling methods, we'll choose sizes larger than just 1. So for example, maybe I don't just want 1 to 10. Maybe I want a list from 1 to 100. And I want to choose 5 numbers from that list. Okay? What this is going to do is it's going to sample, randomly sample, 5 numbers from this list of numbers from 1 to 100. Okay? If I click evaluate, it gives me the 5 numbers. It randomly chose 77, 43, 6, 12, and 3. All numbers between 1 and 100. Okay? So, the moral of the story, do not trust yourself to be random. You are not good at it. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to be good at it. Use a tool. This calculator is a great way to easily simulate randomness.